Okay, 1951, good luck. So we've not played before, we have no head-to-head score there. 1,000 games for opponent. What have I done? 700-ish there or thereabouts. 757 now. Against c6 you generally do this and this. Against e6 you generally do this. Just as a general reference guide, yeah, let's go g3 first. We're just trying to make sure we can take back if opponent captures our pawn. Now he could take, he could leave it where it is, he could come down and target the bishop. And at some point we just have to decide what we're going to do with the centre. We can do this, we can do d3 and try and go e4 later on. We want the bishop up somewhere with her. Oh, he does take. And that gives us a chance to actually go with the pawn and mix the structure up a bit. I'm going to do that just for variety's sake. Normally I would take with the bishop and come back. So I'll go with the pawn just for variety's sake to help deal with these pawn pushes. Okay, let's just castle first then. So we're probably going to take here and try and bring a pawn across and then launch in the centre. Something like this. I guess he can just push and bring his pawn forward. Do I go here now? He's played that move. Trade, queen down, knight back. I'm just going to come up first and attack the pawn. Maybe rook across, depends what he does. So he plays there, so let's play rook across and attack the pawn for a second time. Okay, but now can I just take here and pawn up? Doesn't that... What's he got? Bishop down, takes up again. I think I just take. Then I play d4 or f4, I think. If he moves the queen, he's got to be on a light square, but we're threatening to take with a check. Okay, so f4 or d4. d4 is actually probably the more principled move because we charge the center as well. So let's go d4. If down, again, I take, bishop takes, and I can pin the bishop again. He can still play knight across, but we should get our piece back. We should do, unless he can go this way and we end up losing a rook in the process. That could happen, I guess. Let's just see how he plays it. Just getting my water sorted out there. Okay, so he castles, very aggressive. I assume I want to go with the pawn and get a tempo attacking the knight. Knight back, pawn up. Yeah, it's got to be right to go with the pawn. The rook just feels too dangerous. But I don't want to get my rook caught in the corner. That's what he's aiming for here. So we might give a pawn back. So here, I guess he can push, but maybe we can just ignore and push on. Well, maybe I can take in the centre here now while he's blockaded. So here, knight takes. No, it's not getting me anything though, is it? I need my knight up. Knight up though does walk into problems, potentially. I'm just going to play f4 for now. I've got to get this knight somewhere into play somehow, somewhere. Or is the idea that he plays knight takes here? Okay. I'm going to sack a pawn just to deal with this issue. If he takes here, I open up the file for the rook, so that should be good as a principle. But the danger is this, and getting the rook trapped. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Or trying to. So I'm quite happy if he takes here and opens the file of the rook. So I want to just get the knight into play, but there is an annoying potential pin, isn't there? So could be a slight problem. Maybe we can push. I'm not sure we should do. Let's just see what black does and then worry about it. Yeah, he's played knight forward, logical. But again, if he takes, I'm still safe to take back. Knight up could be a move now. So knight down. Maybe just put the rook back. I could actually take, couldn't I? I'm not sure I want to. I think it's more important to develop the knight and maybe try and come in the centre. Yeah, I'm quite happy if he takes and I sack a pawn for development. So I'm just going to get the knight into play. Knight in, I think I probably just go back to f1. I could go to d1, I guess. f1's a bit more defensive. Gets it on a light square. I guess d1, there's potential for some sort of sacrifice and a hit to the rook. I don't want to burn all the clock. I don't want to go here and box my rook in. So I'm going to go here because he's always got the idea of bishop down. Right now I've got knight across. We hit the bishop, we guard. At some point I'll take the pawn if he doesn't capture here. But if he does, it opens the file with a tempo. He's got king across, but it's still, you know, a pawn for development. But what do we do? What do we do? If I get b takes c4, do I get knight to d5 then? I think he can just take back. I don't think that's the move. Yeah, he's played knight back, logical. Gets it out of the way, attacks the queen. So queen across looks sensible, preparing a push and hitting the pawn. And again, if he takes, I can take back. So I don't want to burn all my clock there, so I'm going to move, stay on a light square. Just got to watch out, like I say, for this sort of concept. Takes, I can still take here. I'm threatening to capture here as well, either way, I guess. It feels like I should go with the pawn just to open the file, or half open the file. And I guess if we go with the pawn, we're trying to deal with potential pawn pushes here as well, but queen takes, gotta still consider it. Let's just see what he does. Have a bit of water. Knight d5, do we have to take? Knight takes, pawn takes c4, pawn takes. That feels good to me as well, because it opens his king's defenses up. So knight d5, I think I've got knight takes. I think I have. Ooh, so he plays rook down, attacking my knight. Okay. So is there a way to counter punch? If I come across here, it gets the rook onto a nice square. It then means this idea of a hit here isn't any good, but we might be able to sack here. So rook across gets a rook developed, and we still threaten to take and undermine his defences. Knight across could be a move as well, threatening to jump in. It gets the knight out of the way. If you come down though, it gives him a target, but I guess I could take. I'm going to shift the knight out of the way. I don't mind, like I say, sacking a pawn here. But now we're threatening to maybe take and kick the knight and undermine his rook. The knight's got potential square. Even if I have to sack the knight and pawn, you know, just to not lose the knight completely, it's got a potential square. Down, I guess I can en passant. So he's pushed over. So now I think it's time to take and then kick the knight. So I'm going to take and try and go forward and then threaten a check. Okay. So do I kick the knight first? But then if he goes back, he stops me going here, right? So I think I go here, threatening check. I don't want to burn all my clock. I'm threatening to plant the knight, hit the pawn. If he takes, it's a really great pawn structure. We've got 4 right now. We could get 5. Ooh, that just blunders, doesn't it not? Because now he blockades the defense of the rook. So now the rook's under attack. If he takes, we take back and we attack the queen and the rook at the same time. So I think that wins an exchange. But he does still undermine the pawn though. So it might be an exchange for pawns. I don't think knight takes is a move. I don't think so. King takes, rook across. I could take with either pawn as well. If he takes with the bishop. I mean, if he takes with the rook. Well, he has gone with the bishop, but this is where I thought I'd just simply take back with a connect 5. The queen can't guard the rook, and the rook's still lost, right? So what does he do? So we hit the queen and we hit the rook. It's just one of those simple one-move mistakes, isn't it? And we just stumbled into it. We've got a nice connect 5 as well. And that's really game over. It should be game over. It doesn't mean I can't blunder it back, of course. Of course we can. But let's take the rook and now try and get a rook off the board. Okay, so it must be right to try and force a rook off the board. I do have a check though first. Rook blocks, check. King over and he's fine. So let's develop the rook first. It's clearly winning. We just have to avoid sloppy blunders, but they do happen. Or mouse slips happen. That's why you'll often see me there get the cursor off the board, just so I don't accidentally click something by mistake. Okay, so he's come forward, so it's got to be right to take. I could check now, but he's got a square, so get that rook off the board. Simply hit the queen. There is rook right across to hit the pawn as well, but I'm going to try and get the queen in. We're a clean rook up for a pawn. A rook for a pawn, that's pretty good. Okay, so he comes forward, so I'm looking at check. King up, check. Or king up here, check. Here, I guess we go here. I just have to not be silly here, so let's check. Here, I guess I could check here as well. So rook check, up, queen check. It's got to be winning, hasn't it? Rook check here, queen check. I've just got to make sure I can block a check at this end. I think that's going to be over shortly. Now, I could actually check here and give up the queen, but there's no need. I can just check and check next move and get his queen off. Oh wait, I've got to check here. And across I've got check here. Comes down, so let's take. So it's all just about avoiding stalemates now. So let's check and then bring the rook in. Then we'll get checkmate next move. The pawn pushes. That's a pretty good game. It felt like we played pretty well there. Let's see what it was in engine language. So we just pause so we don't accidentally start another game. Then we go back to the game. So it's 37 moves. So they're the move times for both players. So let's see what it was in engine speak. It felt like we played a pretty decent game, that one. Doesn't mean we can't have blundered, especially in the opening, of course. Yeah, so we've definitely got mistakes here. We've been much better and we blundered it back to level. So we have blundered a few times. So 88% versus 82 accuracy, CPL 31 and 60. And that's just right in line with my average in rapid chess. So I've played the opening well and gained a big advantage from this position. And then I've blundered it back level. So what did I do here? I should have played d4 and challenged for the centre. A bit more aggressive in the centre straight away. And we're plus 2.6 better. But we're still okay up to this point. There, this is where we just have a few inaccurate moves. See, I'd seen the nice tactic here, but again, the engine is saying, don't try and win the piece through what we did. Just play d4 and it works out better. And I should have played f4, not d4, so there's a difference between the two. So what's the difference here then? Oh, that's a blunder, knight back to d7. So why is that a difference? Oh, he's got D takes c4, attacking the queen. Okay, so I can get the queen out the way, and then he can move his knight without me winning the piece, so that's something I didn't work out well enough. In this position, he's blundered by dropping the knight back. He can just take the pawn, he discovers on the queen, and when I shift he can then move his knight, and we're not actually winning the piece. So that was just a one move blunder from the opponent. After that, again in this position, we've made a mistake again. Instead of f4 guarding the pawn, we should have taken here. I looked at that, but I thought it didn't work out quite as well, but it was definitely better. I'll take a close look off camera after the game, of course, instead of spending too long on it. But we should have taken, unless you see the full engine line, of course, so unless you see the whole thing, you don't necessarily play these moves, but this is what the engine was saying the actual best line was. But unless you see all of it, you often simply don't play the moves at all. So f4 was a blunder, but we're still actually slightly better. We're not worse. We were level or better for the whole game. And then we've just managed to build up a good advantage slowly and steadily. Does it here? That was a blunder. Then this is all good. And from this point on, it was just a case of trying to convert it without blundering it away. So it is what it is. Very good.